So about a year ago, I see a post on Facebook, as you do, and it was a friend that I'd known for 10-15 years at work, and it was a tick bite. That's how it started. So I thought, muscle fatigue, a little bit of tiredness, he'll soon be back at work, same old Tony doing the same old thing. I couldn't be more wrong. After about a year, I hadn't seen Tony, hadn't heard much. Tony was at work. I was really happy about that, it was good to see him. I'd seen Tony over the 15 years laughing, joking, either with myself or whilst he was going about his business, doing his work, interacting with others. So it was good to see Tony. So I walked up and we shook hands and how you doing? And there was a bit of a vague expression and a little bit of sort of holding back and stuff. So we started chatting. There was other friends around that had seen Tony and been around Tony and stuff. So we started chatting, and then slowly Tony started to relax a little bit and he started being able to recall certain things and who I was. And that was quite a shock. So understanding through chatting with Tony the year that he's just spent, things he's had to do, cope with, get through, and his road back to recovery wasn't only inspirational, it was shocking. It was shocking in as much as a tick bite isn't just muscle fatigue and a little bit of tiredness. And I never fully understood anywhere near the ramifications, the impact that it can have. So through chatting with Tony, he, looking at the positives as he always has, wanted to have a say, highlight the issue of a simple tick bite. So Tony very thankfully has agreed to share his story and his own words. Thank you for watching this video. Morning, Tony.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. It is some story, so it's good that people are going to get to hear it, and your motivation being the educational side. So thanks again for taking the time to do it.
My pleasure.
So if we start at the very beginning, how long ago was it when you first knew that you was unwell? Was it a year ago, 6 months ago?
We've passed the anniversary of the initial tick bite now, and this time last year I was quite bad, in a bad place, and I was a week before being admitted to hospital.
So if we start at the very beginning, how long ago was it when you first knew that you was unwell?
Exactly a year ago.
About a year ago. So a year ago, when you knew that you was unwell, what were the first symptoms?
I had a very bad flu. I couldn't get my boots on as my legs had swollen. I had fatigue, the back of my neck was hurting, massive headaches, and my walking slowed down.
Okay, so you literally woke up about a year ago, and this is how you felt when you woke up. This was the...
It was gradual over 3 or 4 days.
Okay, so initially when you woke up it was the flu symptoms, and then very quickly deteriorated to where, as you say, you couldn't put your own shoes on properly and you couldn't walk properly, etc.
Absolutely.
Okay, in such a short period as well, 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, after the 3 days, how did your symptoms then show themselves? Was there anything else that started happening, or?
I started to panic because now I realised it just was normal common flu, and went to the doctor.
Okay, when you went to the doctor, you said you was a bit panicky and stuff. You obviously knew that you was really unwell as opposed to it just being flu, or you just thought?
I was definitely unwell, and I had the acid test bullseye rash in the back of my leg.
Okay, did you know at the time about a bullseye rash, or was it something that...
Not a clue.
Okay, but you just see this rash, didn't know what it was, knew you was unwell.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through the early diagnosis? So I'd assume between sort of the initial day when you woke up with the flu-like symptoms, How long was it before you first got a diagnosis that it obviously wasn't flu, that maybe it was something else?
Then my doctor was the first person to point out that I had Lyme disease, something that I'd never heard of ever before in my life. He said it's so complex, I need to go home and research it myself. He gave me antibiotics, and it's what the National Health have to do.
So when you was diagnosed at the doctor's and you was informed that you probably had Lyme's disease, this was down to the symptoms that you was showing, or was it the rash that you had, or
both?
A combination of both.
Yeah.
What did the doctor say? Do you recall what the doctor said when he saw the rash, the bullseye rash?
Yeah, he said it's the classic sign of Lyme disease. In fact, you can still see the head of the tick embedded in the back of my calf.
And through your educating yourself through this whole process, does everybody get this bullseye rash? Is it an indicator that all people can look for?
No, not everybody gets the telltale bullseye rash. Some people don't even know they've got a bullseye rash. They could get a tick on the back, which is something that they would never see. They would just get the symptoms. The doctor doesn't know where to go with it.
And you've already indicated that you was aware that you'd actually been bitten by a tick.
Yeah.
Where was you? What was you actually doing?
I was in the front garden gardening, planting bulbs.
Seriously, that's all you were doing?
That's all I was doing.
I shouldn't laugh, but the fact that you can walk into your own garden and receive a tick bite and then go through everything I'm aware and you're going to share today. So how do we not know this? How do we not know this consideration that we should all be aware of, that simply walking into your garden, that this is something that you've got to put some protection in place and understand what it is?
There's not enough information from the National Health Service, government. It's then these ticks, they don't care where you are.
So when this tick bite, because again we're trying to spread the message, highlight the issue and stuff, but there is prevention and there is some advice out there, and through your video you're going to put various links, etc. When you knew you'd been bitten by a tick, what did you do? I mean, a tick's on your leg or your arm, or what did you do?
It was on the back of my leg. I didn't really notice it at first, and I just happened to look down the back of my leg. There was a line of blood down the back of my leg, and I just thought it was a general bug, and so I squoze it and chucked it, flicked it away. I didn't know what it was. It was just a bug to me, nothing more, nothing less.
So you didn't go to the hospital, you didn't go to the doctors, you had no idea of the ramifications or the impact it could have, it was just a bug bite?
Yeah.
Brushed it away, end of it?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to come back to that point, it's quite important for people. When you've been going through the process that you have, and the learning that you have, and dealing with the people you have, has it ever been explained why it's so difficult to diagnose Lyme disease?
It's really hard to detect. There are only certain places in the UK that can test for the actual disease, and so it's often known as the great imitator. So a lot of people could get positive or negative result, but does not necessarily mean that you have the disease.
Okay, so with yourself, when you was diagnosed with Lyme disease, initially you said, and I take you back, the doctor said that you got the bullseye rash, which is something that not everyone gets, but you did.
Yeah.
And that then made him believe that you actually had the Lyme's disease. How did they actually then prove that you did have it? What was it, blood tests, or what happened after that?
If you don't get the bullseye rash, the NHS won't necessarily take bloods from you, because that is their sole indication, and it's not necessarily the indication. The indication is deteriorating and deteriorating in your condition, even though you might not necessarily have the bullseye rash. So I get treated for Lyme just purely and simply on the bullseye rash. Immediately under NHS guidance rules, I have to have immediately doxycycline, which is a very, very high intensity antibiotic.
And the antibiotics, how long was you on them for?
Well, I was given 2 weeks.
2 weeks initially, or 2 weeks in total?
2 weeks in total.
Okay, so 2 weeks of antibiotics cured you of Lyme disease?
No, as I explained earlier, I was on a slippy, slidey slope. I went back to the doctors and I said, these antibiotics are not working. And he looked at me, saw my demeanour, slurring and shuffling, and said, "You're going to hospital right now." This was exactly 1 week later. The antibiotics hadn't touched me. And hospitalised, that's where I was admitted, and I was there, stayed for 10 days.
With everything you've been through, what's been the worst bit?
Having no memory.
At all, or?
Having no memory at all comes in waves. You suddenly can't remember to eat. You can't remember to have a drink. You're at home and you don't know what's happening around you. It's quite frightening.
I can imagine. We've talked about various bits relating to, initially it was flu-like symptoms, and then you were struggling to put your shoes on, and then struggling to walk. We've touched on now regarding the memory. What other symptoms, or what other, how else has it shown, this Lyme disease, the impact? How else have you been poorly or unwell?
Not only did it attack my brain, it attacked my heart, and I had to go to hospital to be put on a heart monitor because I thought I was having a heart attack, but it was the Lyme imitating having a heart attack. When they put me on the monitor, there was no show of any heart attack at all.
And are you aware of this being the worst case scenario or best case scenario? Is there anywhere that you've seen that it's
if you're treated early, maybe you don't get as bad as what I got. I can only go on my story, although I hear other stories where people who don't get the right treatment and it can end up dead, and that is the awful underlying thing that the process of this horrible disease can do to people.
So to be brutal, we've gone from me believing that a tick bite was simply a little bit of muscle fatigue, a little bit of tiredness, to in actual fact people can die from a tick bite.
Yeah, I think 7 we've lost from I part of a Facebook group. 7 I think we've lost this year. The last one being a 17-year-old.
Unreal. So old and young, fit, otherwise doesn't seem to matter. This diagnosis, this finding out as early as possible, is obviously a big part of your message.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Where do we stand regarding what we can do to protect ourselves, preventative measures, etc.? Are you aware of anything, any advice?
Yeah, you can go to lymedisease.co.uk. You can research it online. My personal recommendations would be, if you're going walking, hiking, going to a caravan park, or gardening, wear protection, where DEET, a normal high density mosquito, seems to be a deterrent.
Okay.
Or long clothing
Yeah.
protection.
Through your story about a year ago, I do a bit of running now and again, and now I won't go out if I know I'm near grassy areas, etc. I wear them really shockingly looking skin tight tights to running.
But that's a sensible approach.
Yeah.
And without being too dramatic, you never know where you're going to get bitten. You could have been another statistic had you not seen the demise of me over Facebook and what I've been posting. Then it could have been a different outcome, but you're doing the right thing.
Is there any other advice you'd give people? Anything else that you'd like to tell to people so that they understand the real impact of this and that there is preventative measures, etc.?
If you suspect that you've got Lyme disease, which I never did, you have a classic bullseye symptom, or you have any of the symptoms that I've had and that I've told you about, go and see a doctor. If the doctor will not accept that you have Lyme, you can actually quote the NICE guidelines, which was updated this year, which states that if you have any idea or you think you have Lyme, you have to make your doctor aware, and he will have to have your bloods tested. Just
the last thing for me, people are out there now aware that, you know, a tick bite, what it could mean. Not all tick bites mean you're getting Lyme disease.
No.
I'm aware there's a specific type that people can see for themselves. If they look up N.I.C.E. is one, Lyme disease is another one. There's various places people can go to get themselves better educated and stuff, and we've put the links up through this video. When you are where you've got a tick bite, you just squeezed it or brushed it off. Is that the correct way, or is there an actual...
No, the correct way is to use a tick removal tool. Tick removal tools are not readily available. I'd never heard of one before. Had I known, would I have known what to do? You really need to know what to do to twist it off properly. It's the head that's the most important, because that's the thing that attaches. And whereas I'd squoze the body to get rid of whatever it was, I just pushed all the poison straight into my bloodstream.
So we've got the way in which you remove a tick bite is important.
Yeah.
There's a tool for it.
Yeah. People
can educate themselves through the links on exactly what to look for.
Yeah.
And how to deal with it. We've got the DEET, which is 50% minimum DEET.
Yeah.
You can spray up, etc.
Yeah.
If you want to go about walking, which lots and lots of people thankfully do, and we want to continue to encourage everyone to be outside, getting fit, staying healthy.
Yeah.
But just take care of themselves. We talked about clothing and stuff. I go out now and I am head to toe and I'm covered when I'm running through the fields, etc. When I come home, I take the clothes off, just sling them in a basket. Apparently that's not a good idea if I'm not 100%, there's no little ticks hanging about on them. What should I be doing in them circumstances?
Checking your clothing for ticks, especially lower down knee, below to ankle. And you need to get rid of them, burn them, dispose of them, crush them, or whatever.
And put them in a tumble dryer if you own a tumble dryer, I believe. Apparently on high heat does work.
Anything above 40, well, anything above 41.6 degrees kills spirochetes in your body. But yes, anything that will kill them, just kill them.
So we've gone through a year to get where we are. Would you say you're fully recovered now?
No. I am so much better with myself. I still have neurons that don't fire in my brain because my brain has flatlined for so long. But I am in recovery, which is great because I am much further than a lot of people would be at this stage in their Lyme disease life. But I did go and seek a consultant.
There's something I need to make quite clear about my recovery. My recovery hasn't been as fast and as simple as it seems. Although the NHS were very, very good towards me. Once I'd done my NHS bit, I discovered I had severe Lyme. It came back and completely ravished my body again. I am, I suppose, in a very lucky position whereby I had the money to spend on Lyme disease specialist consultant care, whereby I had to Google the best consultants in the UK who were happy to see me, and they sent my blood test off to 5 parts of the world, which confirmed severe Lyme, and from that I was on over 30 tablets a day for a very, very long time, suffering very, very severe symptoms. But if it was not for these Lyme specialists, I think it would be a different story now, and I wouldn't be able or capable of talking to you and giving you my story of Lyme. If it was not for them, I wouldn't be much better, although you can tell that I struggle with speech. My brain neurons aren't firing 100% yet, but it's still early days, and one day I will get back to normal.
Tony, I want to thank you genuinely for sharing your message, educating me so I better protect my family and stuff. Is there anything you'd like to finish by saying?
Go outside, go enjoy yourself, just use protection, and take especially care in the summer, spring, summer, autumn months, and check for ticks, please, on your dogs, your cats, on yourself.
Tony, thank you so much.
A pleasure.